welcome Malika Khan, producer.
Happy Halloween, motherfuckers.
All right, let's get this Q&A going, because I, you know, usually at the Q&As, I'm always like, no, please questions, not comments, but I really just want to gush about how excited I am about this film. And to begin, there's such a legacy to the Halloween series. The series is important to so many horror fans. For everyone involved, was there a single ingredient from the 1978 original that you wanted to bring to the new film? And at that same time, was there a new ingredient that you wanted to bring that you felt was not in the original film? Starting with David.
Yeah, well, I think John Carpenter gave me great advice when he read the script for the first time, and he said, he kind of gave his blessing to go forward, and he said, keep it simple and make it relentless. And I thought those were really, really good bits of advice that we tried to adhere to.
I just wanted to bring you guys. Honestly, because without you guys, I don't exist. I mean, I exist, but I don't have the creative life I have without you, and that was all I cared about, was that they made a movie that you guys would like. So that's why.
And Jason and Malik, like when you guys were setting this up, like how did you find David? Like did you?
Well, I was going to answer your other question, which is I wanted John and Jamie. That's what I wanted from the original movie.
You got what you wanted, Jason Blum, and apparently you always do.
That made me happy. David was I believe a one-word email. We'd met a bunch of times and been trying to work together for a while. And I said, Halloween, ? And he said, what did you say back? I'm in. Something. Yeah, I'm in.
The thing that I find really special about this film is it takes where we left Laurie Strode in Halloween, and it really explores what happened to her as a character and how it evolved, but not only how that event affected her life, but also affected the rest of her family. And I think that's a really, really powerful idea, and I wanted to hear from the cast about whether that was something that really spoke to them in the script, and also David in terms of how it was an idea that you wanted to explore in the script as well.
Well, I'm just going to start because it's a movie about trauma, and ultimately, if any of you have ever lived through any trauma or have a family member who has trauma, it isn't just you or the family member. It is generational. It is something we're seeing, of course, with wars, and I just thought it was an amazing way to tell the story of Laurie and tell it through the eyes of her daughter and her granddaughter.
I feel traumatized right now. This is the first time I saw it. Please forgive me. I am shaking. I feel like
You survived.
Thanks, Mom.
I just love that too, that this the idea of symbolically the knife is now in your hands. like that is. And he's in, yes. Yes, absolutely. No, fantastic. Let's see if there are questions in the audience. Right there.
This question's for Danny. Where you going? Danny, is he dead?
I was telling David earlier, I think the only thing possibly scarier than being chased by Michael Myers is having to write a sequel to Halloween and risk pissing all of you guys off. So I just have the same thing Judy feels. I feel overwhelmed that you guys enjoyed this. Unreal. It's awesome.
Daniel, one thing I'm really struck by the film is that I hear your voice in it a lot. Like, there's so much wonderful humor in this movie. It's not a horror comedy by any stretch, but there's so much humor, and I've always thought that humor and horror are so intermingled because there's a nervousness in both horror and comedy. And I just wondered, were you ever nervous yourself about putting that comedy and that mark in the script?
You know, we really just tried to aim. When David and I even approach comedy, we don't even really kind of approach it through jokes. We just really try to jokes. Trembling. We really just kind of focus on the characters and make sure the characters, play and they feel grounded. So I think even as we wrote this, we just naturally put funny shit in their mouths, and then we kind of have to go through and pull some of it out. And I was worried even as people were laughing, I'm like, fuck, did we put too many jokes in here?
Right there. This is a question about the performances and whether there was special preparation to really prepare.
Oh, don't give it to me. Give it to the director.
How did you prepare the cast for that?
Once we had cast it, we workshopped it, we rehearsed it, we rewrote for everyone in it and brought their ideas to the table. A very organic, kind of fun process. We'd sit at my house in my office and we'd just spitball ideas and talk through subtext and say, hey, maybe we don't say anything in this take. And so it was there's a lot of, it's not like an improv-y movie, but there's some things that just came out and we were there with the camera and we caught stuff that's cool.
Well, forget it. I was going to tell wonderful things about him. I will tell you one tiny little story which you will like, which most people don't know. So there was the sequence where Laurie is watching the Shape leave in the police truck or the van or the bus or whatever it is, and she's waiting for him. And it was the last day of shooting in South Carolina, and obviously, it had built up. We had all become very close. And on the first day of shooting, I always insist that the crew wear name tags because, they know my name, I don't know theirs, and so everybody wears name tags. And so here was the last night. It was Laurie sort of alone in a truck. We hadn't scripted it. It just sort of was Laurie alone in the truck waiting for the Shape to leave. And, preparing, you think about trauma. And so, I was prepared, as they would say, actors prepare. So I was sort of prepared. And as I was walking to the set, I looked up, and there's my little truck surrounded by 100 people, and every member of the crew had a name tag on that said, "We are Laurie Strode." And what it meant was that they understood that we are all Laurie Strode, that we are in this together, that trauma is universal, and it was an amazing gift that the crew gave me. And it was just a moment, an emotional kind of cherry on top for me, that there I was with this crew that were so loving. Very sweet.
I want to see if there's a question in the balcony first, 'cause I don't want them to feel left out. Is there any questions?
Up here.
Yes, up there. The one that just said up here. Go ahead.
We were loving the end of the movie so much, but I'm sure, along with everybody else, we didn't hear what Laurie says to Michael before he stabs him because we were too busy loving the moment before. What does she say?
And when the light turns on when you're in the closet, that's what you say.
Happy Halloween, Michael.
Right there.
This question is for Danny and for David. I love the echoes of the original film, and some of the reversals were great. Like when Laurie's on the lawn and then she disappeared. Were those super deliberate, or were those a natural part of writing it?
That was just Danny's idea. I said, wouldn't it be cool?
Right over there? Yes. What's it like to say goodbye to the Shape? Assuming it's the last time.
Don't ask me.
Yes, right there.
This question is for Jamie. As your role of Laurie, have you ever been affected in your own personal life by playing that role? Have you ever felt scared?
Life's a little scary. I I live in America. This shit's getting real. So I'm scared every day. The truth of the matter is, I'm very lucky and I have not survived a trauma the way Laurie Strode has. But I don't know a human being in this room that hasn't suffered a trauma. It's universal, it's part of being human. And so I think I'm very lucky I haven't had that kind of trauma. I certainly never been to war. I have not been a soldier. I'm not a police officer. I'm not a firefighter. I'm an actor. But, you know, life is tough for everybody. And that's why we go to the movies. That's why we want the release of a movie like this, so we can come together and scream and laugh and then go home and get some fucking sleep.
I just want to ask, before I take one more question, John Carpenter, he was, And I think one of the things that I was so excited when, I almost had tears in my eyes when I first watched this, because the sound of this movie is, and the lack of sound. The fact that when I watch the original Halloween, you sometimes just hear the camera recording as Laura's going through the house, and you have that absence of sound. Was John Carpenter heavily involved in the shaping of the sound for the film?
I would say, you know, he obviously did the score with his son, with Daniel Davies, and had a lot of ideas of when to begin music. And sometimes we'd try, audition a piece of music they'd do, and he'd be like, you know what, let's scrap it and just play nothing. So he has a lot of theories about when to cue music, you know, not to anticipate too much, but be there to deliver on the nose. And so I like that we would do Skype sessions every week, and he'd be watching the scene, I'd be looking at the back of his head as he'd be commentating and conducting, and it was a really trippy, amazing experience to be able to collaborate with one of my idols growing up. And so a lot of ideas from the script stage through the sound design, and yeah.
Last question, right over there.
What do you think about Mikey was terrified? Why do people love
What is the attraction, I guess, to Michael Myers?
Malik, you should answer that. Malik and his family have done every Halloween movie, so if anyone
The hardest question, but thank you. No, I just want to say I'm biased. Obviously, I think it's the greatest horror franchise. I'm biased. But I also want to say with these incredible filmmakers, I believe this is the greatest installment since the original of the franchise.